All right, man. So DanDaDan be going crazy. Is it DanDaDan? People have been saying DanDaDan. I'm gonna say DanDaDan because it just sounds a little bit easier to say for me. But it's been going crazy, man. Episode 7 really did a little tickle in my eye. I'm not gonna lie, man. Somebody put a bowl of onions down. It's pretty sad and crazy. It was amazing. But at the same time, I don't want to get into that yet. We're gonna go ahead and get into everything that led up to that part. So if you don't remember in the last recap I did, we were basically just talking about the beginning of DanDaDan, showing how those aliens, the artwork, and all the crazy stuff that's going on in the episode. All we saw so far was humor, a little bit of scary stuff, a little bit of action and stuff like that. We rounded it up with the grandma, basically showing them how to hone in on their powers. And then we started getting into what we are at now, which is episode 4. And in episode 4, we got Momo and Oaken going back to the tunnel to fight Turbo Granny because they need his dong back, okay? He can't live without it at this point. I don't know how he's been getting by, but he needs it back. So as they're going in the tunnel, Turbo Granny turns into a giant head and starts to go on the defense a little bit. Momo starts throwing some stuff at her, trying to go crazy with her powers, but they're not working out too well. So she sets Oaken loose with his turbo powers, but Turbo Granny realizes it and gives him his dong back, which is what they came for. But at this point, he loses the powers because that was the kind of contract they had in which put the curse on him. Now they got no defense. So now Turbo Granny's about to go in for the kill until Momo stops her and tells her, yo, if you're really Turbo Granny, let's challenge you to a race. And this race is going to have rules. And the rules are, they get to get a head start of 10 minutes while Turbo Granny counts, which should give him a decent little advantage in order to come up with a plan to get out of there. So they start running and taking off, and Turbo Granny starts to count. But she ain't counting normally. Counting like 1, 2, 3, 8, like going crazy with the numbers. She even turns the seconds into minutes. So instead of it being actually 10 minutes, it was more like 10 seconds. In those 10 seconds, of course, Momo ends up getting caught, and Okarun's trying to get her out of there. Okarun's like, yo, why are you counting all weird? How come you're not counting normal? And she was like, I never said I was going to say how to count, and you never specified how to count. So I'm still counting and not breaking the rules. I'm just bending the rules. Right after she said she doesn't like when people break the rules. But like she said, she was bending them and not really breaking them, which is crazy. She's counting like she did for Momo, going off of 1, 3, 8, 10. And then she's about to attack Okarun, but he crashes out and starts suckling on her tatas because he's like, you know, if you're not going to play fair, I'm not going to play fair. So he latched on to her tatas. Crazy. And like she's swinging around trying to get him off. But as he was doing so, somehow he drained her power, and Momo was able to see what her true form was using her psychic abilities because she put all of her power into Okarun since he was draining it in the first place. Momo's now strangling Turbo Granny in psychic realm, and this somehow forces Turbo Granny to stay within Okarun now. So her power is her actual true nature of her power is locked in Okarun. Out of nowhere, this big ass crab busts out, which is actually the mountain spirit, and the mountain spirit starts chasing them down the dang highway. I guess the mountain spirit is somehow teamed up with Turbo Granny. I don't understand the dynamic, but that's what's going on. So now, an important little side note about damn events that are unfolding right now. There's a part in which they're running down the street, and then a lot of people were seeing them run down the street, and Momo was like, I guess they can't see this big ass crab chasing us, which means that we look like a couple of dorks just running down the street doing piggyback, which shows us that most people or anybody can't see them transform into their like turbo selves or use their psychic abilities unless they're also somehow a psychic person as well. And this is very easy to miss, so I just wanted to point that out. They end up taking the crab to a big ass onsen, and the onsen is like, you know, a Japanese tub thing where they all steamed out. So they steam the crab, and the crab ends up getting a little bit disabled. As they beat the crab, they jump out back onto the street trying to get back home, I guess, to Momo's place. And then all the people in the city were gone. At first, I thought some Serpo aliens were about to pop up because everything was all quiet like they normally do, but it wasn't that. Next thing you know, you see a bunch of foot soldier zombies chasing after them. It looked like the whole city was after them. And this was due to them running past the cemetery, which Turbo Granny was able to tap into the spirits over there and pretty much command them as well to chase after Momo and Okarun. Now you got the big ass crab spirit, Turbo Granny, and all the damn zombie looking humans that are possessed, I guess. Momo is realizing that they're about to die if Okarun doesn't turn back into his like super self again. So she tells him to go all out again. He already went all out a lot, so he doesn't know if he can do it one more time. Of course, he ends up doing it once again, and he leaps all the way from where they are and like runs on the building and everything and jumps to like a safer spot. As they were landing, Momo had to use her hands as wings, so she had to open her hands up and had to glide a little bit to safety, which made her pretty much let go of Turbo Granny, which she was holding on to the whole time. Now, Turbo Granny's no longer attached to Okarun, she's free, so she's out and about now, upset as hell, kicking them from left to right. She ends up fusing with the mountain crab spirit, which actually has a whole bunch of bodies and faces in it. I didn't really say that, but Turbo Granny got him on the run again, and Momo does this like psychic hand pull thing where she grabbed onto a train that was passing by, and then they leap all on top. Now you got Turbo Granny chasing her, and Turbo Granny can only go 100 kilometers an hour, and the train go 120, so it's kind of outrunning it. But the train don't continuously go 120 because they got to use brakes every now and again, which allows Turbo Granny to go ahead and jump on top of the damn train. Now they pretty much gonna be food. But this whole runaway thing was actually a plot to get Turbo Granny to the city of Kogayami or something like that, pretty much outside of her possessed realm area that she doesn't really have dominion over or something. I'm not too sure exactly how it works. But when she passed the train to like the next city, she ended up turning into dust and pretty much disintegrating. And the crab also did, but these little people that were inside the crab were all like, I guess, teenage girls. They also kind of passed on into the next light, if you will, or life. It was later explained by the grandma that those girls were like tortured and were like victims of something brutal, which didn't allow them to pass on into the next life. So when they crossed boundaries or crossed paths with the Kogayama city, I guess they somehow were let loose and went on into the next life. And this is kind of the first time we see something somewhat deep within DanDaDan. Like, it's actually showing us that there is some substance to all the haunting and the spirits and something like that. There's a little bit more substance to it than just random fights and battles. After all is said and done, they end up back at Momo's house and they're eating crab. Ironically, they're eating crab. I don't know why they're gonna eat crab on the night that they're getting chased by a big ass crab, but that's what they decided to have. The grandma goes up to Okrun and says she actually wants to see his banana because she really want to make sure that he has it back. And of course, Okrun's like, nah, you're not gonna see my thing. Just leave me alone. He starts running around and everything and he starts chasing. Now, this whole ordeal of Okrun losing his balls and pecker is pretty much what brought him and Momo close together. And as he's leaving Momo's house, he's thinking like, damn, is this it? Our friendship is done? And we gotta remember, bro, Okrun got no friends, so it's sad. He's like really thinking like, this is it. This is the end of my friendship, quote unquote, and then this is it. But then, just then, when we think that this is over, nah, Momo's gonna be like, see you tomorrow. And then that seals the deal, man. They gonna be friends for a good little minute. We then get into the next morning and Okrun is still overthinking this. He's still thinking like, yo, do I really have a friend now? And he's walking to school. He's practicing on how he was thinking about last night. How like, damn, how am I gonna say hello and everything? And he sees Momo waiting for him at the entrance gate to the school. Of course, he's still in disbelief that he actually has a friend. So he's like, I don't know if she's waiting for me. She's probably waiting for her other friends. So I'm gonna just keep my head down and just walk right past. And you know what, man? It really makes you feel a little bit because you're like, damn, bro, some kids really live like this. So it's kind of sad. But anyway, he walks past Momo thinking like he has no chance of actually having a friendship. And Momo sees this and she's like, She bumps into his ass. She's like, bro, you're late. Let's go. Let's go have a good day. And then he's actually very surprised. And it's a little heartwarming. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe I'm just a little sappy dude, but I think it's heartfelt. They end up walking each other to class because I think they have a class right next to each other. And throughout the class, they get back to their normal lives and normal routine. Okrun jumps in class and he's getting bullied right away, man. And it's like I said, that junk just... It's crazy how the anime can really put you into their shoes and make you see how their life really is. Like, they actually have it down pat when it comes to bullying and shit like that. So Okrun's getting bullied. He pulls out his comic books and stuff and starts reading about the aliens and everything that he's into. But he's still ecstatic that he's found Momo as a friend. Now, Cut sees it's lunchtime and they're both actually looking for each other. Now, it's kind of a thing where they don't know where the other person's going to be. So they start checking in different locations that are somewhat near each other. So every time they're looking for each other, they're actually passing by each other and they're not really making contact until they both forget about it and start to give up and say, you know what, maybe he's avoiding me and maybe she's avoiding. They both sit down on a bench that's literally right next to each other, but a wall is blocking them so they can't see each other. And they get up and they're starting to head out, both with their heads down, kind of depressed. They actually bump into each other and clink teeth, and they get to arguing back to back, talking about where you been, how you been avoiding me, and all this stuff. And they both find out that neither one of them were avoiding each other. They just couldn't find each other because, like I said, they kept passing each other while looking for each other at the same time. Now, the people who saw them clink teeth was Momo's friend. And of course, they're going to capitalize on the part that they clink teeth and it looked like they were kissing. So they started teasing Momo, talking about, wow, you guys are kissing? You kissing nerds? Nah, that's crazy. And then Okrun goes back to defend himself and say, I would never kiss her. She's lame, da 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 da. And they kind of both rejecting each other, low-key knowing that they both like each other. Momo has enough of it. She says, you know what? Forget you. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Okrun does the same. And they both split their separate ways and go to class because their lunch is pretty much over. Now, before going to class, Okrun goes use the bathroom because, I guess he just hasn't done that since last night. And he realizes that his balls is missing. So he's like, yo, I gotta go tell Momo Momo that his mission ain't really over because my balls are still missing. I got my pecker, but my balls are gone. So he runs a Momo's class. Momo's still low-key upset at him because like the whole thing that happened with the clanking teeth and avoiding each other thing and her friends seeing it. So she's like on the defense talking about, I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. Back off. You're being weird. Leave me alone. Okurun's like, nah, bro, I really got to talk to you. Meanwhile, the whole class is looking at this now. Momo's class is looking at this. And Momo's somewhat of a popular girl. People know her, but she's not like the top. She's just very known. This becomes more and more embarrassing for her because like we all know, Okurun's pretty nerdy. So he's doing like nerdy actions and stuff. Like he's holding his hands by his balls, like saying like, yo, they're missing. Like he's being very nerdy and it's obviously turning her off a lot. And she's like, yo, leave me alone. Okurun realizes that it's his nerdiness that's bothering her so much that she doesn't want to be friends with him low-key. So he kind of gets heartfelt and hurt and he starts walking. He goes back to class and then we cut scenes to him leaving school. And as he's leaving school, he goes to see where Momo is, but she's not there. So he's like, I guess she left. And then this pink hair girl bumps him out of nowhere. The same pink hair girl we see in the damn intro. So now we know our new character has finally arrived and we're like, okay, let's see what's going on with this pink hair girl. And she's a pretty narcissistic ass girl, man. Like she bumps into Okurun and she's like apologizing and everything, seeming like she's actually genuinely sorry about bumping into him. Touching him on the shoulder, being like, you're so kind and all this other kind of crap. And she really doing this just to get a bigger head to see Okurun blush and adore her in a kind of way. Of course, Momo ends up somehow seeing this interaction take place and then she's getting low-key kind of jelly. She's like, what the hell is this? Why is she touching her? She's pretty cute. You know, worrying about the other thing that she shouldn't be worrying about because she thought Okurun had no friends. But now he's getting a little bit of attention from somebody that looked kind of good and she's starting to feel kind of some type of way. The pink hair girl ends up passing Momo with her friend, talking crap about what just happened with Okurun, saying, oh, he's a pathetic guy. Oh, he must be adoring me. He's drooling over me now. He's going to dream about me until he's old. And Momo hears all this stuff going down. And of course, remember, she got psychic powers. So as the pink girl's walking away with her friend, she takes this big ass washing pan and slams it on her head. And I'm talking about with the force she slammed on her head, she probably killed her. But the girl just gets knocked out. And we find out that her name is Ira because her friend screams her name and worry if she's okay. Momo grabs Okurun and then starts heading home, and then of course they get to apologizing to each other and, you know, I'm sorry for being mean to you, but it was yada yada yada, nothing really too important there. But they apologize and make up. After which Okurun remembers the situation he's in. He tells Momo, yo, my nuts is gone, so we got to go keep going back to the mission and complete it because it's not really completed. They go back to Momo's house, end up telling the grandma that, you know, he don't got all of his stuff back, and the grandma's like, this is why I was trying to look at your junk, bro, because I wanted to make sure everything was there. How did you not even realize it wasn't there? And he's like, I was just happy I got my thing back, so I wasn't really looking for the other two things. So then the grandma's like, okay, well, we're gonna have to perform some type of thing on you to see if you really got all of it back. And not really his junk we're talking about, we're just talking about his soul, making sure it's intact. They have him standing in a bowl of water and she's slapping him in the back of the head with a big ass fan. And now this fan is able to separate auras, I believe. So she's slapping in the back of the head and she's like, Momo, did you see anything happen just now when I slapped in the back of the head with fan? And she saw a different aura, something else that was within Okurun. So they slap him a couple more times and then what do we see? That cat thing. We see the cat that's in the intros as well. So we got two new characters. We got Ira and now the cat. And when they slap the hell out of Okurun again, Momo grabs onto the aura that was within him and pulls it out. And then it somehow went into the cat. And then the cat gets to jetting it and then it starts running away. Momo ends up finding it in a broom closet and she holds it down with her psychic abilities. And then they come to realize that it's Turbo Granny, bro. She is not gone yet. She's still there. And the thing that's crazy is she's threatening to not give his junk back unless they go out and unalive some people for her. As this happens, Okurun's getting pissed off and he somehow transforms into his turbo self. After seeing this, Turbo Granny's like, yo, he's not supposed to be able to do that. And they both realize that Turbo Granny's conscience is now in this cat thing, but her powers are still within Okurun. So low-key, he's at an advantage because he's not really going to get possessed anymore. He now just has the ability to transform into this Turbo Okurun, which is pretty freaking dope. I mean, like, if that could happen to me, I'd be chilling too. Like, it's kind of cool. So they make a deal with Turbo Granny saying, you know what? If you help us find his 2 jewels, we're going to go ahead and get you back together, but we need to make sure we get his stuff back. And the thing is, she don't know where they are because she lost them. So now they got to go on a hunt to go find them. They end up getting to talking with Turbo Granny, and Turbo Granny's describing what they look like because I guess they don't look like they're in anatomical cells. They look a little bit different. So she's saying that they're 5 centimeters from end to end, and they're wrapped in a layer of her spiritual energy, which is actually golden in some way. She also says says that they're chalked up with a full spiritual life force that yokai and spirits are somehow attracted to. And I'm thinking that she missed out on the word aliens, or maybe she's saying that the aliens are also spirits. But we're starting to realize why all the yokai and the aliens and the spirits are after the bananas, because they think that it's going to resurrect them, is what she said, which is crazy. So it's all kind of starting to make sense. Turbo Granny's acting like she ain't got nothing to do with this, and like, yo, the balls are a lost cause because they're lost. But they go to school the next day and they got to continue their lives because they still jits and they still got to go to school. So Okrun walks into class and a dude ends up talking to him, talking about, yo, Momo's super cute and I've been wanting to get to know her. You should put me down, yada, yada, yada. And Okrun actually has never thought about Momo being cute. So he's like, damn, you're right. She is kind of cute. And then the dude starts saying, I heard she's pretty easy. And then Okrun's like, who said that she's pretty easy? And who said that we did it? Because that's what the boy said. The boy said that him and Momo were doing it. Okrun, like I said, still has possession of Turbo Granny's powers. So he's getting upset because he's hearing these rumors going around school putting dirt on Momo's name. So he turns to his turbo mode and he's starting to like get upset with the guy. Has him by the neck of the shirt. He's like, who said this stuff? You shouldn't be talking about her like that. You know, he's really getting upset. And of course, nobody can see him transforming because they can't see that. You know, we confirmed that with them running away from the crap. Okrun's realizing that he's kind of losing control of things. So he lets the dude go from the shirt and he sits at his desk and he starts geeking out again, thinking about Momo. But he's like, damn, she really is pretty. I got a pretty friend. And I think he started thinking of her more than as a friend now, of course. He got a feeling on Momo. We got a nice little love story growing. As he's thinking about all this, the cat pops out the bag. The cat that Turbo Granny's conscience is in. Of course, she ain't supposed to be there, so Okrun's crashing out once again, grabbing the bag and running out the room all frantically. And he starts questioning her like, what are you doing here, yada yada. And she's like, I'm just cruising around looking at for things to do. Momo and Okrun meet on a different wavelength now, because like I said, Okrun ain't thinking about her like he used to think about her. He's thinking about her as she's pretty now. So he gets all bashful and starts running away. Now, cutscene to the pink-haired girl named Ira. Remember her name, Ira. Now, cutscene to the pink-haired girl named Ira. Once again, she being mad conceited, thinking she had chosen. So she walk in the halls, everybody looking at her because she low-key kind of pretty. And she actually has a vengeance for Momo because she somehow seen Momo's psychic hand. And they look like wings because they're on the back of her back. And I guess she don't really have a place to put them. So it just be floating behind her as she walks. Now, the girl is able to see this because she ended up finding Okrun's nuts. She's found the golden balls. And when she finds these things, because they have so much spiritual energy, she's able to awaken her spiritual powers that are low-key within her. So now she's able to see all these things and it's like a latent ability that she now has. But because she now has these powers and she's able to see spirits are also able to see her. And we've been catching whim of this other entity that's been around them that's getting closer and closer to Ira, and it's some lady in a red dress. Now, we don't know what kind of lady it is. It's some type of spiritual lady, but it's a lady in a red dress. But yeah, Ira now thinks that Momo's a demon because her psychic hands are on the back of her back, and Ira's thinking that it's her job as the chosen one to defeat her because she's quote-unquote a demon. Fast forward to after school, Momo and Okrun link up, and then Ira pulls up on them, somehow just knowing where the hell they gonna be at. She probably stalking her, Loki. And says that she needs to speak with Momo alone. Momo obviously don't want to speak with her, but she's like, you know what? I'm gonna talk to her because she's pretty persistent about it. Let me see what she gotta say. She takes her over to this abandoned building, I guess it's on the back of the school ground, and she low-key starts trying to exercise her like she actually a demon. She on top of her with some cross and holy water and the dang Bible, and she's like trying to slap it into her to make her burn up or something. Same thing you do with vampires, but it ain't working because she's obviously not a demon. Now, Okrun pulls up in the nick of time, and he's like, yo, we found her. We found the creepy lady. And then Momo's like, yeah, the creepy lady's right here. She has your golden balls. And Okrun's like, no, that's not her. The creepy lady's actually, and just about to say who is, this dang yokai pulls up and grabs Ira and is low-key having like a blast, like their family or something, saying, oh, I've missed you. I've been wanting to see you again. All this extra stuff. And somehow we get a glimpse in the past where Ira somehow has seen her before, but we don't exactly know how yet. Now, Okrun and Momo are trying to save Ira, which they don't even really low-key want to save her, but they gotta save her because she's a human and his yokai is really attached to her. She's telling her, call me mommy and all this other crazy crap, and we're low-key realizing that maybe Ira is somehow entangled into the spiritual world and she don't even know how. Okrun goes back into his turbo form and he starts battling his yokai trying to get Ira back from her grasp. Momo's also helping, but low-key her hands are zip-tied behind her back because Ira did that in a way to start exercising her because once again she thought she was a demon. Okrun actually gets unlucky and he gets swallowed by this yokai like Like, she literally straight up eats him. And then she goes back to Ira saying, call me mommy. Ira ends up calling her a monster and hurting her feelings, and she eats her dead ass mid-sentence, like just gulps her down, which is crazy. Now the last two people we got is Momo and Turbo Granny, who's in the cat form. And obviously Turbo Granny can't do much because she don't have powers and she's a little cat. So Momo's doing the best she could with her little psychic abilities, trying to throw things at the yokai, but it's not really working. Momo ends up getting swallowed up too, and next thing you know, the yokai ends up burning up with blue flames from the inside. And the funny thing is, the cross that Ira had wasn't really a cross. It was a lighter that Turbo Granny low-key planted for Ira to use. And Turbo Granny also says something that's really interesting. She says, now that I'm here, there are no coincidences, because maybe she's able to somehow bridge the gap between coincidences in some way. I don't know if she was just saying this to say it, like to be cocky, but normally when they've been saying stuff in this anime, they don't just say it to say it. They say it for a reason. So I don't know. I'm gonna hold on to that for a while until there's no reason to. After being burned from the inside, she ends up throwing up Okarun, Ira, and Momo. And Ira right now is knocked out somehow. She's not even like responding to anything. So Okarun has her in his hands, and he also got Momo on his back, and they trying to get out of there because that lady's like chasing. Of course, she's upset because she believes Momo has turned Ira against her, and she also just got burned up. So she got reason to upset. Okarun starts jumping all around the abandoned building, and it's causing her to follow him, of course, because she wants to get him. The type of yokai she is, wherever she goes, her hair pretty much grabs onto. So all the beams she's jumping about and around are pretty much grabbing on with her hair, which ends up getting entangled in all the crap that she's around. So it ends up getting to a point where she can no longer move forward because she's so entangled within all the crap. She starts breaking beams to get loose, and then Momo holds her down by her feet with her ghost hand. She then tells Okarun, like, bro, you gotta attack or do something because I can't just hold her like this with my hands zip tied. I don't have a good enough grip on her. And Okarun, of course, has never been in a fight. So even if he does turn into his turbo self, he don't really fight. And even when he was fighting those Serp aliens from before, he wasn't really fighting. He was just letting the curse take over, and it was just doing whatever it was doing. So he comes out into the last second in order to retaliate, and he ends up just throwing himself, headbutting her right into the chest. And of course, when he's in turbo mode, he has a bunch of power. He knocked out the building and pretty much disrupted her movements. Like, she ain't gonna be getting up and fighting back no more after this. At this point, they have pretty much won the battle. So Okarun's good, Momo's good, but Ira ain't. And Ira ain't moving. And it's to the point where she is unalive. And at this point, I'm holding my breath. I'm like, yo, is this anime so deep to the point where they get into a situation like this and they're gonna have to go to jail? But I was like, nah, that's gonna be a little bit too crazy. So I'm here to see what they're gonna do next. And next thing you know, guess who pops up? The acrobatic Silky. She's still not done. So she's walking forward talking about, take my aura and put it inside Ira because I want her to still be alive. And we're still thinking that this thing is crazy and Loki trying to have some trick up her sleeve like Turbo Granny just to reawaken herself. But she's not. Turbo Granny actually confirms that she's telling the truth, saying that she really wants her to live. And the only way to make her live is by using the aura within the acrobatic Silky and putting it inside Ira. And Momo is the only one that could do it because Momo is able to grab onto auras with her ghost hand. So she bridges the gap between the acrobatic Silky and Ira's life force that's actually draining away. She's making the connection for the aura from the acrobatic Silky straight into Ira. And let me tell you, it gets deep. It gets so deep. Pause. We go into a whole backstory about the acrobatic Silky and how she even got there. And it's sad, bro. Like, I actually teared up watching this one, man. I was with my girlfriend. I was like, yo, I was shedding tears because this junk is so sad. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because I really don't want to spoil this one. I want y'all to see this for yourselves. But basically, just little trickles on the edge. These yokai we're starting to see have more depth to them than we actually think. Turbo Granny, for instance, all those girls that were a part of the crab, Turbo Granny actually felt for those girls. She didn't like that they were all beat, bruised, so she was trying to become some bridge or link for them, or some type of safe haven for them in some way, making her not really seem as such as a bad person that she really is, or a bad yokai that she actually really is. And same with the acrobatic Silky, man. Like I said, I don't want to give it away, but she was a mother, and she did the most she could for her daughter. And things happened in a way where she gave every ounce of herself for her daughter, and that's why she wanted Ira to call her mommy so bad, because it gave that glimpse of hope that she once had when she was living. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Y'all, go watch DanDaDan if you haven't. And if you have seen this, see episode 7, and if you haven't seen all the way up to here, yo, definitely drop some comments below. Let me know what you think about the episode. Let me know what you think about my recaps. I really do appreciate the love and support, man. We have tripled. I mean, we have grown exponentially from last week, bro. We're up 240% in subscribers, and that's a percentage. Like, we had 10, and now I think we had 10, 12, but we had 10, and now we had 30. What was this? 38, 39? And by the time I post this, maybe 40. I'm gonna say, man, I love you guys so much, bro. I really appreciate y'all. I normally post on Wednesdays and Fridays, so I'm gonna try to keep that schedule. But if you're new, tune in, like, and follow this journey with me, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next recap. Peace.